not gonna lie, Haikyuu is probably one of my favorite anime. I know, complete shocker. The plot twist of the century. The expectation no one expected. And ignoring the fact that it's a show I've watched more times than I should be legally allowed to, as many times as I recommend it to my friends, most of them tell me to, quote, go fuck myself, I'm not watching a show about volleyball. Or something along those lines. Hey Brock.
What's up?
Have you watched Haikyuu yet? Yeah, that's about right. Which makes me pretty sad because, in my opinion, Haikyuu has some pretty amazing things going for it. The characters are great and the comedy is there. Even the fight scenes are great. Right? Well, as a fan of Haikyuu, it's easy to say that the fights in Haikyuu are great. But from an outside perspective, are they really? First of all, I need to say this because some people don't understand. Haikyuu is not for everyone. I think everyone should give Haikyuu a try, but at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy it, then that's that. But I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you do actually enjoy Haikyuu, or you just like watching videos on things you hate. Which, if that is you, you should probably find a new hobby. But since you're already here, let's talk about what makes the show good. First, let's talk about the plot. Let me just Google this really quickly. Haikyuu plot. And what the fuck? Let's just take this little bit. And plagiarism doesn't exist. Oh no. Haikyuu is the story of Hinata Shoyo falling in love with the sport of volleyball after seeing a game on TV. This then sparks his dream of playing and winning nationals with Karasuno High, the same school as Idol, the little giant played at. It's a pretty basic plot in all honesty, so what could possibly make it interesting to watch? It's just fucking volleyball. Well, one of the problems that our main boy Hinata faces is that this motherfucker is small. At least for volleyball standards, he's small. Actually, this dude is in high school and is still only 162 centimeters. That's 5'3" for us Americans. Which, in all actuality, that's not actually that short. But considering the average net in high school volleyball is around 8 feet, Hinata's at a pretty big disadvantage. Even a 3-foot jump would just put him at the same height of the net. And to even spike the ball, you need to have at least 1 foot above the net. So if we're doing math, Hinata needs to have at least a 4-foot vertical to even have a chance at spiking it. But hey, that's just a theory. An anime theory. Thanks for watching. Hinata isn't the best player. Hell, he's not even good. Even when it matters the most. In the final rally against Shida Torizawa to get to nationals, this fucking dude couldn't even receive the ball properly. But that's what makes it so captivating to watch. We want to see him grow and improve. We want to see him get better. We want to see him climb each wall.
目の前に立ちはだかる高い高い壁。その向こうはどんな眺めだろうか。どんな風に見えるのだろうか。俺一人では決して見ることのできない。これが頂の景色。
Now, we're here to talk about the fights, so let's talk about them.
Let's talk about that.
There really isn't much to say in all honesty. It's an anime about volleyball, so the fights are, you guessed it, volleyball matches. What a fucking concept. And it's anime, so obviously the matches are going to be exaggerated to the fucking extreme. Like, I can suspend my disbelief only so much. This dude is actually a slime and can absorb people and acquire some of their powers. Seems legit. But this dude being able to see the blocks and having a precise visual of how to hit past or against the blockers? Bullshit. Now, obviously I'm joking. Like I said, it's just a volleyball match, so the only way to add action is to exaggerate the match. If you watch any fight in Haikyuu, 90% of the match is either a slow-mo shot of the player reacting or thinking of their next move, and the other 10% is an actual volleyball match. But I think that's kind of the point. Volleyball is a fairly fast-paced sport to begin with. Showing the match itself would be hard to make interesting. And with any sport, it's never just hit ball on their side and win. There are strategies that need to be implemented in order to win. You can't just randomly pass the ball in soccer or that shit's gonna get stolen. Running in a straight line definitely doesn't work if you're playing football, right? I don't know, does it? I'm genuinely asking. I don't know shit about football. Or is that literally all they do? Because that's all I see them do. But either way, any sport isn't just go from point A to point B unless you're in track and field. It's always, how am I going to get from point A to point B? Volleyball is a sport you know you're going to get scored on. It's impossible to ever have a shutout game. There's no absolute counter to any attack. You're facing a guy who's 7 feet fucking tall? Well, based on how he plays, he seems relatively new, meaning he can't control where he spikes it, so let's have one of our players in a position to receive where he hits. You got someone on the enemy team whose name is fucking Barry Allen?
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
Well, because he lacks any power in his spikes, let's just limit his course so he can cleanly receive it. You got someone who can't stop fucking his stepsis and his stepmom? Well, wait, what the fuck? Not the right show, not the right And that's what makes it fun to watch. With every good fight, there's a push and pull. A curb stomp of a fight doesn't necessarily make it boring, but it doesn't make it a good fight. Deku vs Bakugo is a great example of a push and pull battle. It's not just Deku getting bodied by Bakugo, it's an even fight with both parties playing to their strengths and taking advantage of the other's weakness. And yeah, it's character-driven action, so it's more impactful than just two characters we know 1v1ing on FD. What I'm saying is, the fight itself has a great flow to it, and it's the same for Haikyuu. Each fight has a back and forth that keeps you wondering who's gonna win. But still, does that actually make the fights fun to watch? The short answer is no. It doesn't matter how many slow-mo spikes, strategies, or minus tempo quicks you show. At the end of the day, you're just watching 2D characters hit a ball back and forth with extra steps. That's all the show is. So, why is it so popular? It's because of this kid. This 5'3", orange-haired loudmouth is the real reason we love this show. This lost child that is definitively best boy, according to the 2020 Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Now you might be thinking, but Nagisa, that's just a fan voting. That doesn't actually make him best boy. To which I respond, that's how the goddamn US president is elected. So, go make your argument there.
China?
Honestly, all of these characters are why we watch this show. I think one of the things people don't realize about Haikyuu is that it's a completely character-driven show. None of the spikes, none of the blocks, none of the receives would matter if we didn't give a fuck about these characters. Like I said, if not for these characters, you're just watching volleyball. You have to love all the members of Karasuno because you're with them the entire show. And you especially have to love Hinata. The story is about Hinata's volleyball journey with the members of Karasuno. And if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy the show. And there are a ton of other lovable characters, and you don't have to like them, but come on, how could you not? My point being, Haikyuu's story and characters are one and the same. And I know that sounds like an obvious statement, but in a lot of shows, you can separate character from action, and the intensity would still be there. For example, a few years ago before I'd watched Mob Psycho 100, I saw this fight on my recommended page, and gave it a watch. I had no idea who these people were or what was happening, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And having watched Mob and seeing that fight again with context, my feelings on it kinda stayed the same, except for this part. This part was better. Now, when I compare that to the first time I watched Nishinoya's foot save before knowing who he was, it made a world of difference watching it knowing the characters versus not knowing. I think when I watched this scene for the first time, I was more or less like, no, he saved it with his foot. Cool. But when I was watching the show, my reaction was something along the lines of, let's fucking go, Nishinoya! This is why you're the best libero! Literally best libero in the fucking world! Followed by, bro, this shit still looks goofy as hell. Earlier I said that the characters and story were one and the same. And what I meant by that was, the story is motivated through the characters' goals and motivations. They just so happen to transpire through volleyball. Let's compare this to DBZ. The action in the show isn't motivated through Goku's goal or drive, they just happen to come to him. Goku wasn't actively looking for Raditz. Raditz found Goku and kidnapped his son, which then forced him to fight. The characters serve the action versus the action serving the characters. Listen, at the end of the day, Haikyuu is just volleyball. Nothing I say will change that fact. The only reason we give a shit about any of this action is because this is an entirely character-driven show. So, does that mean these fights are actually bad? Honestly, I don't know. To me and some other people, that's what makes this show fun to watch. We watch Hinata not because he's the best player of all time, but because he starts off as the worst player. Every challenge he faces, we cheer for him as he overcomes it. Every loss he's handed, we cry with him. And every victory, we celebrate with him. But to some people, that's not their cup of tea. Some people prefer to watch action for the sake of action. Sometimes it's more fun to let the fist tell the story rather than the narration. Sometimes people aren't here for the long character ride. Just a good action one. And if that's you, great. But hey, now you know why we love